didn't look like anything she expected. He didn't seem like the type either. Never did she think he'd be capable of doing something like this, something to this magnitude, but he did. Disgusting, horrible, awful is what she thought of him as she walked home, silently crying as she hurried along as fast as her feet would take her. It was with a heavy heart that she locked herself in her room and slept for hours until her mother knocked on her door to wake her up for dinner. She was quiet at the table, and as soon as her parents would let her, she quickly went back up to her room and cried herself to sleep. It was hard for her to get up in the morning. She didn't want to face him, but she knows she will have to if she wants this torture to stop. It's not your fault, she tells herself over and over again as she walks to school, her own private mantra. She can't look at him and decides to stare at the ground instead. She knows she shouldn't feel bad about taking a stand. She knows what happened was wrong. When she has enough courage to look at him again, he looks furious. Maybe if you didn't dress like such a slut, then I wouldn't have slept with you. With her jaw dropped, the tears start to flow down her face. I don't dress like a slut, she stammers, now physically shaking and scared as she notices his clenched fists. This is something that she didn't expect from someone she thought she knew how to talk to. She knows she has to leave soon. She doesn't think she can handle much more of this from him. Please don't talk to me again, just leave me alone. And she starts to walk toward the door when he yells, "Bitch!" And she runs down his porch steps and goes home crying. She spends the weekend alone. She stays in her room only to come out at meals with her family. She finds it hard to concentrate on her homework because her mind keeps going back to that first night. She remembers being so scared and thinking that if she lets this happen, she'll feel good about it afterward. After all, he was cute, and he seemed like a decent guy, and she wanted to get it over with. Monday came sooner than she wanted. The moment she walks into school, she knows something is different. The halls seem quieter, people averting their eyes from her direction. None of her friends meet up with her in her locker like they do every day. She walks to her first class. No one speaks to her. Second period begins, still silence. It's not until her third day of class of the day until a boy she has never talked to in her life sits down next to her and asks, "So guess who's the easy one now?" and gets up to laugh with his friends at the back of the class. Stunned at this statement, she has the rest of the class to ponder what people know about what happened. As soon as the bell rings, she's the first one out of the class and leaves to find her friends. Finally, she asks one of them and asks what she finds one of them and asks what she knows. "Well, all I heard is that you guys had sex and you left. I'm not sure what his friends heard from him, though." Obviously, she realizes that the boy who confronted her heard something different. For the rest of the day, no one else speaks to her. She ends up leaving school worried about what is currently being said behind her back, and it's not until the next day she finds out exactly what kind of rumors are being spread. The next day is absolute torture. People she's never talked to, and even some that she has, make horrible comments such as, "Cover up next time," and can't really blame him when you're dressed like that. To be fair, she knows she doesn't always dress to the school dress code. She also realizes that at this time of year, it's normally the high 80s to low 90s on any given day, and it's not her fault how her body has grown. Shorts and tank tops don't always cover her up like they do on other girls, but she never thought of it as a bad thing. It's just the way the clothes fit her, and her parents let her dress the way that she wants, so she never thought of it as a problem until now. For the next few days, she covers herself up more, despite how she feels about her clothing choice, but she's willing to do whatever it takes for the taunting to stop. Even her closest friends make comments like, "Maybe you should apologize for walking out on him, and it's your fault that he told everyone what happened." But they obviously don't know what really happened that night, and she's too scared to tell them. The comments go on for days and days. She stops talking in class in case it spurs some comments back from the back of the room. She stops hanging out with her friends for fear one of them will bring up the incident again. Her daily schedule consists of school, sleep, and repeat. The week passes and a deep numbness settles inside her as the days continue. It's not until her parents comment on her odd behavior does she break down and tell them what's happening at school. She doesn't give them the full truth, but tells them that people have been commenting on the way she dresses, and they tell her to make an appointment with the school counselor about the other students' behavior. When she is called out of class a few days later, she takes the time on the way to the office to think about what she's going to tell the counselor. When she arrives, she's asked to come straight into the room and is greeted by one of the older school counselors before she has a chance to speak. The man says, "I'm not one to listen to gossip, but it has come to my attention that you've received some unwanted attention from the about something that occurred off campus. Taken aback by the statement, she nods, not expecting this kind of reception. He goes on, I would like to hear your side of things, so if need be, we can take appropriate action. Slowly, she starts to recount the events after taking a deep breath to steady herself. It started a few weeks ago, and I started seeing him more and more outside of school. I wouldn't say that we were dating, but it was getting to that. He invited me over about a week ago, and it was harmless, at least I thought it was. Her heart starts to beat a little faster, and she has to pause to stop herself from crying. I didn't want to, but he said it felt nice, and I thought it'd be good to get it over with, but I did tell him to stop and slow things down. But he didn't, and it happened, and I kept saying no and stop, but he ignored me. The entire time she was speaking, she stared at her hands in her lap because she was too embarrassed to look in the man's eyes as she talked about her most vulnerable moment. He was quiet for a long time before he sighed and said, you should talk to him about it. I'll admit it, boys will be boys, and sometimes you have to be more forceful about things of this nature. My advice for you regarding the rest of the student body is to ignore them, and in time it will pass. After this, she excused herself from the man's office and went to the bathroom where she hid for the rest of the day. She felt like there was nowhere else to turn. The taunting will continue, and the horrible feelings she's starting to have about herself are going to grow. At home, her parents asked how the meeting went, and she told them that he said to ignore the problems at school and that it will pass. Surprisingly, her parents were not happy with that solution and suggested that she look at some sort of coping method for the time being. After composing herself, preparing for what she might find, she typed in, dealing with rape, into the search bar. To her surprise, thousands upon thousands of articles, counselors, and support groups came onto her computer. What caught her eye was on one article called Rape Culture and Its Contributors. She read the article 3 times over to make sure she was comprehending what she was reading. Almost everything the article talked about has affected her in some way, from minimizing rape to the idea that boys will be boys and can't be blamed for the assault if a girl was dressed provocatively. She was glad that the other people knew what she was going through. Logging onto another webpage, she found an online forum for women who were talking about their experiences with rape and rape culture. Some of the stories she was reading brought her to tears. Some of these women had been through so much, and none of it was their fault. She decides to try her hand at storytelling and starts typing out what happened to her and asking how she can move on from her experience. Thank you.